Well, good morning, good afternoon, depending on when you're listening to this. And it's Randy Bett here with Besttown Agents. And again, we're here with Gary Raze of Remax Integrity. Today, Gary, we're going to be talking about what's the affordability like, what's the housing market like. So what we wanted to do is talk about how much income do you need to actually purchase a home in Eugene. So why don't we start off that way?
Sure, I'd be glad to. Randy, it's an interesting area, Eugene, Oregon, or Springfield. And we're really talking about Lane County. And
Mhm.
Lane County is Eugene, Springfield, which are the two major parts of Lane County. And then we have a lot of surrounding smaller towns like Cottage Grove, Eugene, or excuse me, Veneta, Elmira, Junction City, and so on. Those are smaller little pockets of 3,000 people in each little pocket. Majority of the population is the Eugene, Springfield area, with rivers separating those two little spots. The affordability is interesting because when things were crazy during the COVID times, when people were overbidding for homes, I've struggled to find any homes for sale in the 300s range. Now luckily, we have quite a few more opportunities to purchase in the $300,000 range. 350 350,000 on to 400,000 is certainly doable for a first-time home buyer. The meat of the market is between the 400 to $500,000 range, being around the 450 range is really the right smack in the middle of where most people purchase homes here in Eugene. When you get up to the 500 on up, you really start to get into some finer. So many of them custom built. You have some that are, of course, you can go up to the 750 to a million plus. Not very many, but certainly the meat of the market, but it's certainly a part of the market. I want to go back to buy a home in Eugene. Well, first of all, it depends on where you're from, and this is mind-boggling. If you come from California, the prices here are cheap. If you come from Indiana, Midwest, our homes are crazy expensive. So it depends on where you're from. But regardless, the homes here, you can purchase a home if you have a credit score of the 650s on up. That's probably a good thing to start with. The 4,000 or the $450,000 range, if you options, you can do a 3% down, you can do a 10% down, or a 20% down. The optimum thing is to do a 20% down because you don't have to purchase what they call mortgage insurance. Now, I want you to think of a mortgage person. They're going to loan you $400,000. Okay, they are concerned that if the market goes down and they have to foreclose, then you may owe more than the home is worth at that moment. So they cover their tails, I didn't say the other word, by putting insurance on it that will cover the difference so that they don't lose money if you have to. So that's the reason for mortgage insurance. But you don't have mortgage insurance if you can pay 20% down. Now, what's it going through? What to say if that's down, and of course, if you do 20% on that's going to be 90,000 down. So you're going to be borrowing 360,000. I'm doing mental math now. I used to teach math in middle school, by the way. So there you go. So you're going to borrow about $390,000 on your loan. Luckily, of late, this is the nice thing. We're getting down to the interest rates that are much more affordable. Now that we're in mid to late October at this moment in time, and the interest rates have gone down to 6.125. Tomorrow, who knows? But we do know what it is now, and we also know that that is pretty much what it's been for many years. When I say a 30-year average, the 30-year average was 6.5%. So that gives you an idea that we're actually in not bad a condition. You're comparing interest rates to when things were in the COVID times. We call that free money back then because of the COVID. They were really trying to get some involvement with the economy, so they lowered that interest rate to basically in the 2% range. That was nice, but that also had some problems. Problems were people, because interest rates were so low, people were overbidding for homes. They were trying to outdo the other guy. Well, the problem with that is people were paying 50, 60, $70,000 more than the listing price. Well, those days are long gone, thank goodness. Those people that purchased back then, if they had to sell right away, they're in trouble because we haven't appreciated up nearly enough to cover that overpaying that many people did. So that's a side note. But in today's world, we're back to normal times. The problem that we have, of course, is availability. How many homes are available in your particular area that you want it to move to? So that's always a situation that you need to get to a real estate professional. No matter where you're living at the moment, you need to get one that's going to be in the area that you're interested in moving to. They can do a lot of research for you ahead of time. There's that. I
So
also, go ahead, Randy.
interrupt there for a second there. What about the mortgages? In your experience, you're working with different mortgage brokers. How much lead time does a person who's relocating or moving up, or moving down for that matter, to work with a mortgage broker? Can it be done in a month, or what's the time frame?
Oh, I like that question. First of all, get a hold of your realtor and say, can you give me 5 different mortgage people so you can research them out yourself and see who you're the most comfortable working with? Okay, now that that's out of the way, here's the best part, and that is a mortgage person is going to ask you immediately some questions. They can actually pre-approve you within 24 hours, providing you're organized enough to tell them what you made last year and the information that they're asking for. They can actually get you pre-approved within 24 hours to let you know how much affordability, and without getting you into hot water, how much home you can buy. My advice has always been, whatever they say, try to buy a home less than that because you don't want to be awake in the middle of the night wondering about or worrying about mortgage payments. So if they qualify you for $600,000, don't go that high. Maybe go 550. So it just gives you a little bit of a affordability advantage.
That sounds good. Now, so we've got home market is tight. You can get a mortgage pretty quickly if your ducks are in a row, as the saying goes. But what about the jobs? Like if you're moving in or you're moving around, what's the job market like now?
You know, we are pretty good with our employment numbers. I'll say it that way. We are not the high tech big places like Nike and all of those. We don't have those kinds of big employers. Our biggest employer basically is the medical industry. We have a good hospital system here in Springfield area, and they do employ a lot of people. So the medical, and of course, we have a lot of side medical facilities as well. So the medical industry is probably the more lucrative paying jobs, if you will. We have a lot of small businesses here in Eugene, Springfield area, and they, as a small business, probably those kinds of wages are not as high as you might want them to be. We have the physically the roofers, the loggers, all of those jobs are always going to be around. Unemployment is pretty low here in Eugene. On a negative side, and I have to bring this up, we also have a lot of homeless people, and there's lots of reasons for that. Number one, it's because we are an area that is very giving. We a lot of homeless people from other areas. they our reputation, so we have some of those. But a lot of the homeless happens for lots of reasons, and one of the reasons is the high cost of housing. We don't have a lot of inventory. For example, for $100,000, 100,000 combining Springfield, Eugene, we only have like 400 properties on the market. So you can see how tight it is. So, and the high, and that of course causes prices to be high. Well, a lot of homeless people, they just simply they can't do it.
That's right.
Rentals are limited. Is probably the best word. So it's not, and prices for that. You're start out at around 1,600 a month and go on up. So if you're struggling with medical problems or medical bills. There's a lot of reasons to be homeless. So
Mhm.
I'm not trying to defend the world here, but I'm saying they're not all druggies out there. They're not all deadbeats. A lot of them are forced to be homeless. So
That's
I
unfortunate.
them I try to judge them harshly. But we do have some of those. So that would be, I guess you'd call that the negative side of our area.
Right. So what about now we're talking about areas. I have some notes here on some affordable neighborhoods. Like I don't know if you could generalize either by zip code or neighborhood from kind of affordable all the way up to, hey, if you want to spend $1 million, here's where you go.
Correct. We have areas in Eugene that, like we could start off in we call it the Whitaker area, which it's more affordable in housing
Mhm.
prices because they're the oldest area in Eugene. And so a lot of it has to do with the age of the home. A
Mhm.
lot of the newer homes are in what we'll call, I'm using high school names now
Mhm.
if you're unfamiliar with that, you just have to look those up. Churchill area and South Eugene areas are where most of the new homes are built, and
Mhm.
also in the Gillum area, which is Sheldon High School area. A
Mhm.
lot of those newer homes are in that area as well. We have an older area besides the Whitaker area. It's called River Road, and River Road has a lot of the 1930s and 1940s and 1950 homes. They have large lots. Gardeners love that area because they have a good spot for gardening. But again, those homes are older, and so the prices are less expensive than if you go to the quote South Eugene area, where a lot of those homes are way up there in price.
Okay. Okay. So then really, as far as income, by the sounds of it, if you were at, let's say you're buying a home at 400,
Mhm.
not the highest, not the lowest, this might even be a little bit less than the average or median price, but expect to, when you meet with your mortgage broker, that you're not surprised on how much either down payment you need or income or both, right?
Yeah, Randy, you can. There are some zero down programs, of course, but
Mhm.
for the most part, 3%, 10%, 20% are pretty standardized down payments.
Mhm.
The down payment scenario and the house price itself can all be figured out what your monthly payment is going to be, by the way.
Mhm.
You can go on, there's so many apps out there that you can just Google and download an app kind. But the house payment is going to be this. First of all, the payment on the principal and interest. Then you're going to have a monthly tax payment as well.
Mhm.
Not a payment, but it's figured into your overall payment. So it's 1/12 of your yearly tax is going to be put into there, and also your insurance. Those are the four things that incorporate your monthly payment. Plus, if you pay less than 20% down, you're also going to have something called mortgage insurance. Mortgage insurance is an insurance that basically benefits the lender in case prices fall apart and you are underwater and have to foreclose. That insurance covers what they have lent you, the difference between that and what the home sells for in a foreclosure scenario. So that's why they have mortgage insurance. The more you put down, the less mortgage insurance you have to pay. So that is the fifth component of what your mortgage payment will be. Again, if you're paying in the low fours, it's not going to be horrific. They'll combine not only your income but also your spouse's income to figure out what you're qualified for.
So I just thought of this when we were talking there, and people coming from different parts of the country probably are going to ask, well, what about utility bills? Are they higher, lower? Where does that fall?
No, in comparison to other states, our
Hmm.
utility bills are not overly high. Matter of fact,
Hmm.
they would be below the national average.
Hmm.
We used to be way below the national average because we had the Columbia River to help subsidize our electric bill because it was basically Washington and Oregon. I'll use the word owned the Columbia River. Well, now the whole national world has taken over the Columbia River. So our rates are much higher than they used to be, but they're still lower than the national average.
Okay, no, that sounds great. Well, I'm glad you covered all of those things here today, Gary. So, how do we get a hold of you? What's the best way to get a hold of Gary Raze?
Well, you can certainly call me on my cell is always on.
Mhm.
It's 541-554-5825. And if you want to email me, simply it's Gary Raze at remax.net, not com, but net.
Sound,
Easy to get a hold of me.
sounds super, Gary. Okay, until next time, folks, if you need to reach out to find a home to either buy or sell in Eugene, get a hold of Gary Raze. We'll talk to you later.
Thanks, Randy. Take care.